Okay, can you see my screen now, Sarah?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so this will be a training session in a PowerPoint with a PowerPoint presentation, but I'll also show you, what your Bullhorn application is going to look like after we turn this integration on.
Okay.
So to start with,
hold up. Before
to talk a little bit about why we decided to integrate with other email clients instead of investing in Bullhorn Mail. You're probably wondering why Bullhorn has done that. So instead of investing in Bullhorn Email, we decided to integrate with other best-of-breed email clients such as Gmail or Outlook, because they're industry leaders. And they already have, wonderful functionality. They have thousands of people that they employ specifically to improve that functionality. So we decided to simply integrate with their software. And you get the best of both worlds. So you get the best-of-breed software such as Gmail or Outlook. In your case, it will be Gmail. And it seamlessly interacts with Bullhorn, integrates with Bullhorn. The major difference in your life once we turn this integration on will be that everything that you will be sending from Gmail, all the email that you will be sending from Gmail or receiving in Gmail will seamlessly integrate with Bullhorn. And we'll talk about what those changes entail, how your life is going to be different. But the most important thing to remember is that the only thing that changes is where you send email from, and when you receive your email, nothing in the recruiting process will change after the integration is enabled.
Okay.
Okay, so what can Gmail do? Gmail has more formatting options than Bullhorn. It has a great spell check. You will be able to view conversations by thread. Are you familiar with Gmail? Or do you use Gmail already?
Yes, we are. Most people at the company use it, and we also had a training on it. So
okay.
I don't think we need to get into those features too much.
Perfect, perfect. As I mentioned, you will be able to view your conversations by thread. You will be able to use scanned responses, which is the equivalent of Bullhorn email templates. You will be able to share your calendar. You can create rules to automate, to manage your Gmail inbox. You can use Google email gadgets, message translation, Google Chat, and many more features, which it sounds like you will be trained on. So we won't dive into this, but I wanted to outline that. Okay, so as I mentioned, you will get the best of both worlds. So all copies of your inbound and outbound emails to Bullhorn contacts or Bullhorn candidates will be automatically tracked to the message area on their Bullhorn record. So that doesn't really change. You have this functionality right now when you send an email from Bullhorn to a candidate or contact and you send it to a matching email address on their record, or when you receive that email from them and it comes to Bullhorn and Bullhorn recognizes the email address that it was sent from and it matches an email address on the record, it automatically puts it to the message activity of that record. So that's not going to change. You will maintain this functionality, and you will also have what is called Activity Center. So that's a new feature, and I'll demonstrate in a few minutes what it's going to look like. But this is where all your messages will track. So again, copies of inbound messages that you receive in Gmail will be pushed into the Activity Center. That's a new feature that enables you to quickly parse attachments or add emails as notes. You'll have contact sync. You can continue syncing your Bullhorn contacts with your devices. When you click on an email link in Bullhorn, it will automatically launch a new Gmail message. So you won't have to type that email address into a compose a message screen in Gmail. So I'll show you how that works. You will have calendar sync, and all appointments created in Bullhorn will automatically sync over to your Gmail account.
Okay. I just want to check. I'm still seeing your Outlook. Have you been demonstrating this? I'm a little worried there may be a lag in the GoToMeeting.
You mean you cannot see my screen? Right now we are looking at the future state Outlook and Bullhorn integration. I'm not demonstrating Outlook.
No, I'm still seeing your Outlook panel.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
I'm not sure if it was recording on your side.
Yeah, let's just restart. I just paused the session. Okay, let me restart it.
Sorry about that. I didn't realize.
No, that's a good point. Yes, I'm glad you brought it up because definitely let me know if you don't see my screen. With Gmail and Outlook instead of investing in the current Bullhorn email that you use today. So basically, Google is the leader in the email space and Bullhorn is not. So instead of focusing on investing, making efforts to stay comparable to Gmail, we decided to invest in a way to interact seamlessly with other industry leaders so we can focus on other things that we do best, which is front office software. And everybody should be excited about this change because this is, you basically get the best of both worlds. So you get great functionality of Gmail and it integrates seamlessly with Bullhorn. Just to give you an overview of what this integration means to you. So every email that you will send from Gmail or that you will receive in Gmail will be automatically tracked against your candidates and contacts. So your data will stay in Bullhorn. Bullhorn will communicate with your new Google Calendar in the background. So when you schedule interviews in Bullhorn, when you add those appointments on in Bullhorn, they will instantly show up on your Gmail calendar. And also, when you click on an email link in Bullhorn, it will automatically launch a new Google Gmail message. Finally, you will be able to parse your new candidates and perform activities such as adding notes and tasks and any actions. You will be able to perform an action from a message that you receive in your Gmail right within Bullhorn without removing the noise of the day, you know, anything that you are doing currently.
Okay.
Okay, so what can Gmail do? I know that you're already familiar with Gmail, so I won't spend too much time here, but you will have more formatting options, you will have a great spell check, you will be able to view conversations by thread, use canned responses which work as email templates that you're currently using in Bullhorn. You will be able to share your calendar with other team members. You can create tools to manage your inbox. You can use Google email gadgets, message translation, Google Chat, and many more features. So how will this integration work? Basically, you're going to integrate your email, Gmail email. So copies of all your inbound and outbound messages that you will receive from your contacts, candidates, or that you will be sending to your contacts and candidates, they will automatically be tracked to the message area on their Bullhorn record. So that's not going to change. You have that functionality right now. The copies of all inbound email that you will receive in Gmail will be pushed to the Activity Center. The Activity Center is a new feature that I will show you in a few minutes. So from the Activity Center, you will be able to parse a candidate's resume, for example. You can continue to use Bullhorn Contact Sync. You can, when you click on an email link in Bullhorn, it will automatically launch a new Gmail message. You will have calendar sync, and all appointments added in Bullhorn will automatically show on your Google Calendar. If you have any questions, please feel free to jump in at any time. I would like to review now to show you what you do in Bullhorn Mail right now and what your life is going to look like moving forward and what is not going to change once the integration is enabled. So sending email. You will be sending email from Gmail. Receiving email, the same. You will be receiving all your email in Gmail. The only email activity that you will continue to do in Bullhorn is when you do a mass mailing. So for instance, you run a candidate search in Bullhorn. The search results are returned, you want to mass mail your candidates, you will do this in Bullhorn. This will allow you to use the personalization feature that you currently have. Client submissions, that's another email activity that you will continue to perform from Bullhorn. So this will allow you to track your client submissions on a job record, candidate record, or a contact record in Bullhorn. And it will also allow you to see if an email that you sent to the client was read by the client. So I'm sure that you're familiar with this functionality, and that's not going to change. Nothing else really changes in your recruiting process. So client interviews, you'll add them in Bullhorn. Parsing new resumes, parsing existing resumes, you'll do this in Bullhorn. You'll be adding notes in Bullhorn. Tasks, you can do it either in Bullhorn or your Gmail. And adding files, you can also do it in Bullhorn. And I'll show you in a few minutes how you parse resumes, how you add notes and add tasks or add files from the Activity Center, this new feature that you will have, that will enable for you when the integration is turned on. Email integration. So let's talk a little bit more about where your email flows, okay, and what to expect now that Gmail will be your primary email client. So now that Gmail will be your new email client, you will use it every day for your main email client email activities every day. With this new integration, you won't feel like you're managing two inboxes. You'll just manage one inbox, which is your Gmail. So using Gmail combines the best of both worlds. You will be able to get all your features of Gmail as well as all of the best features of Bullhorn. So outbound email, inbound email, everything will be going from Gmail, and it will be tracked to the candidate record or a client contact record as long as they have a matching email address in Bullhorn. So that's very important. In order for the tracking to work, you will need to ensure that the emails that you're sending to your candidates from Gmail or receiving them to track them in the Activity Center or on their record in Bullhorn, they have to have a matching email address. It works exactly the same in the same way as it does now.
Right. So, I mean, really the important takeaway there is that when you get a new email from a candidate or a client contact, you add them immediately to Bullhorn, and then that's it. Like your email just gets tracked under that record. You don't have to do any copying or pasting or anything like that.
Correct. Yeah. As long as you send it to the same email address, matching email address from Gmail, it will be tracked. So this slide shows. Go ahead.
That's true for any multiple emails. So if you have perhaps two emails for a single contact, it would track both under that contact record.
Yep. So for instance, in this slide, you can see email 1 is filled out. So if I send it to this email address, so first of all, when I click on this link here, it's going to launch my Compose a Message screen in Gmail. This email address is going to be automatically populated into the to field. I will write my email, send it, and it's going to be automatically tracked on this record in Bullhorn. If this email to field was filled out and I send it to this email address, this would also be tracked, okay? And the same would apply to the outbound message.
That's great.
Okay, so yep. So whenever you click on a hyperlink in Bullhorn, your Gmail message will pop up, and it will be already addressed to that recipient. It's very important that everybody installs a feature called Gmail Notifier, and I can send you a link where you can find it on the web, and you can install it literally within 2 minutes. It's very easy.
Okay, great. Perfect.
So it's important that everybody installs Gmail Notifier.
Great.
So Gmail will be launched each time you choose to email just one person in Bullhorn. Okay, where will my emails show? Emails that I send to my candidates or contacts. Basically, nothing changes. The copies of all messages that you will receive in your Gmail or the messages that you will send from Gmail will be automatically copied to that record's message area in Bullhorn. So as it is today, nothing changes. You will see these messages under the Message Activity tab. If you go to Activity and click on Messages, all inbound and outbound email will be tracked as long as it has a matching email address on that candidate record.
Okay.
So that's important to remember. We've talked about it a little bit. And where will you find your items, sent items in Gmail? Basically, you will go to your sent items, sent mail folder. This is when you will see your sent messages.
Right. And this should be very familiar to anyone who's already using Gmail.
Perfect. I mentioned mass mailing. Okay, so that's one of the activities, email activities that you will perform from Bullhorn. So when you run your candidate search, when you run a contact search and you want to send a mass mail to your clients, you will continue doing it in Bullhorn. This is by design because we wanted to ensure that you don't lose the personalization feature, the merge feature, so you will still be able to use the codes and message templates that you have in Bullhorn. Message templates, by the way, do not go away. We will simply enable a new menu item that you will access from your desktop where you can manage your message templates, and I'll show you it in just a few slides what it's going to look like. Okay, so mass mailings, when you send a mass mail from a contact list or a candidate search page, that message will not appear in your Gmail sent items because you are not sending it from Gmail, you're sending it from Bullhorn. However, you will receive a copy of that mass mailing message and it will show in your Gmail. So you don't have to copy yourself, you will automatically receive a copy of that mass mail that you sent in your Gmail.
Okay.
Any questions about mass mailing?
Yes, so I understand the mass mailing. Sometimes, though, we're just emailing maybe 2 client contacts at the same time. Can we just do that through Gmail just by typing in their email addresses?
Yes, the email address Gmail will remember the email address when you type it in. Obviously, you have to perform that activity for the first time for Gmail to remember it. So if you just go to compose a new message and you have never sent an email from Gmail to that client contact record, you will have to manually type it in if you don't click on an email link in Bullhorn. Okay? If you click on an email link in Bullhorn to that client contact, it will pop up the compose a message screen in Gmail and it will auto-populate that email address for you. But if you want to send an email just to 2 clients, the best practice would be just to, instead of finding that client in Bullhorn and clicking on their email link, because if you want to email more than one person, you won't be able to do it. You would have to do it from a contact list, right? Okay. So you would need to just do it from a compose a message screen in Gmail and put that email address in there.
Right, but it would still be logged to both of their records.
Yes, it will be still logged to both of their records as long as you send it to the same email address, to the matching email address.
Great, thank you.
Does that make sense? Sure.
Yes, it does.
Message templates. I mentioned message templates briefly. So you will have this new menu item in Bullhorn to access your Bullhorn message templates so you can continue to use them. So you will just go to your desktop menu and navigate to the message templates icon here. Right now, as you know, the message templates can only be accessed from a compose a message screen in Bullhorn because your Bullhorn inbox will go away and it will be replaced by the Activity Center. That's why we had to add that message templates menu so you can access and manage them.
Okay.
You can also make copies of those Bullhorn message templates and copy them into canned responses in Gmail.
Okay.
That will save you some time.
Okay.
Any questions about message templates?
No, thank you.
Okay, so how will Bullhorn notify me in Gmail when somebody sends me a note? First of all, you need to make sure that Internet Explorer is your default email browser. The reason why it's important is because when you receive, and for instance, if your coworker sends you a note on a candidate or a client contact record or a job in Bullhorn, you will receive that email notification in your Gmail with a hyperlink to click on that note. And if you do that, if Bullhorn will try to, your browser will try to open Bullhorn, right? So if you have Chrome or a different internet browser as your default email internet browser, it will try to open Bullhorn in that browser, and they are not compatible with Bullhorn. So it's important, if you already haven't done so, that Internet Explorer is your default email browser.
Okay.
Also, it's important that you keep Bullhorn when you have multiple browser windows open. It's important to keep Bullhorn as the last tab open in Internet Explorer. Because when you click on a link in your Gmail, when you receive that note notification or a job note, Bullhorn will always try to open that link in the last tab. So that's why it's important that Bullhorn page is to the far right in when you have those Internet Explorer windows open. Does that make sense?
It does. So basically, we should just keep Bullhorn, keep Internet Explorer as the default, keep Bullhorn open. If you're going to open any other tabs, just make sure that Bullhorn is the last tab in that string.
Correct. Because when you click on those links in Gmail, links that will, have a link, email that has a link to a note or a task reminder or an appointment, Bullhorn will open it in the last tab. So you want to make sure that it doesn't open, multiple Bullhorn tabs because it's going to be a little messy.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. So let's just summarize what we have talked about in regards to mail. So all your new email on the day of the integration, when it's turned on, it will come to your Gmail. All your messages will be sent from Gmail, except mass mailings and client submissions. When you click on an email link in Bullhorn, it will open Gmail. All sent email from Gmail will track if there's a matching email address that you have on a candidate or a contact record. And in a few minutes, we'll talk about client submissions and the recruitment process, which doesn't change.
Right.
Perfect. So let's talk about calendar integration. You will continue to add client interviews and appointments related to contact and candidate records in Bullhorn. You will continue doing it in Bullhorn, and the reason why you need to do it in Bullhorn is to track metrics. So if you wanted to add an appointment, an interview or an appointment in your Gmail, Bullhorn would not track it as an interview on a candidate or client contact record. That's why you have to continue to do it in Bullhorn.
Right. So this is a really important takeaway here because we are using Insight Squared very extensively. And so, basically the takeaway is keep adding client interviews, keep adding client appointments the same way that you have been. Otherwise, your Insight metrics will not track them.
Yes, yep, that's very important. And also, all of these appointments that you add in Bullhorn will sync over to your Gmail calendar automatically, so you don't have to worry about, copying and pasting. It will send them, copy them over to your Gmail.
Great.
You can schedule internal and personal appointments in Google Calendar because obviously you don't need to sync them with Bullhorn. So for that, you will just use Google Calendar.
Okay.
And if you add an appointment in Bullhorn and you want to edit that appointment, you'll have to click on the link of that appointment in your Google Calendar. Okay? It will take you directly to the edit screen, appointment edit screen in Bullhorn. So just like you edit your appointments in Bullhorn today, your Bullhorn calendar will be removed. You will no longer have this menu to the Bullhorn calendar. So let's say that you schedule an interview and you want to change the date or time of that interview. You just simply go to your appointment in Gmail on your Google Calendar, click on that link, and it will take you directly to the appointment in Bullhorn where you can edit this information.
So again, appointment creation really doesn't change at all. It's just that when you're actually managing your calendar, you're going to go through Gmail instead of Bullhorn.
Correct. And what are the benefits of this integration? You will manage one calendar, so you don't have to worry about going to Bullhorn Calendar and the Gmail calendar. You will do it all in Gmail. And you will continue to track your interviews and appointments in Bullhorn. So everything will be tracked on the activity of that record and also in Bullhorn reports. Any questions about the calendar integration before we move forward?
No, I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay, and just remember that Bullhorn calendar will no longer exist. Okay, so that's important. Let's talk a little bit about calendar.
Actually, let me pause you just a little bit there. Even though Bullhorn calendar doesn't exist anymore, we're not losing any records of past appointments, past interviews, anything like that. That's all still logged in Bullhorn. Nothing is going away. It's just that moving forward, we're going to be using Gmail.
Yes. Yep, I think all your Bullhorn recurring appointments, all the appointments stay in Bullhorn. You will still be able to access them via, from a candidate record or a client contact record that has a related appointment added.
Okay, great.
Perfect. So let's talk about a little bit about calendar best practices. I already mentioned that client interviews and appointments related to Bullhorn records should be added in Bullhorn. That process doesn't change. If you created an appointment in Bullhorn, you have to add it in Bullhorn by clicking on that link in Gmail that will take you to the Bullhorn calendar. And it's important not to edit Bullhorn appointments in Gmail. So if you basically change that appointment in Gmail, change the date, it's not going to update it in Bullhorn. That's why you have to click on that link and go to the Gmail Bullhorn edit screen of that appointment. Any questions?
Right, but again, that isn't substantially different from how we have to do it now. Again,
correct.
If you were going to edit an appointment in Bullhorn, you'd still, in Bullhorn calendar, you'd still want to go back to that original invite. So it's a very, very minor behavior change.
Yes, exactly. That's why, enabling this integration is really seamless and doesn't really confuse our clients. Recruiting process. So let's talk about this. Nothing changes in your recruiting process. You will continue to add submissions, client submissions, interviews, and placements in Bullhorn. That doesn't change.
Okay.
Okay, client submission. So when you add a client submission, what will happen, Bullhorn will automatically open a compose a message screen. So you will see compose a message of a Bullhorn email. Okay, it will, as you can see, it will automatically default to mass mailing. It will auto-populate the client that you are sending it to, or a client, I'm sorry, because you're sending it to the client. You will see the same screen where you can select the files that you want to attach. You can log client submission without email and prepare an email. So this is the next. Once you click on prepare email, you'll see Bullhorn compose a message screen. So that doesn't change. The advantage of keeping this the way it has been is because you can use the submission tracker. Okay, so on that job in Bullhorn, you can, when you go to your client submission, you can see if that email was read by the client. That's why we left this feature.
Right, and the key takeaway there is don't change your submission behavior. Don't
correct.
Do not start sending internal submissions from Gmail. And if you do, your metrics won't be right. You won't be getting credit in Bullhorn the way you should be. So
exactly.
do your submissions exactly the way you have been.
Yes, yep. So client interviews, submissions, you continue to do it from Bullhorn. And where can you see your client submission email? It's going to be in exactly the same place where you see it today. So if you go to the job order that you added a submission from, you'll navigate to the activity tab and you'll look under client submissions and you can see your email here and the details of your email. And you can see if a client read that email and how many times. So that process doesn't change.
Okay.
Okay. Let's talk about tasks. Okay, Bullhorn tasks do not sync with your Gmail task. Okay, that's very important to remember. You can continue to use Bullhorn tasks if you like them. I personally like Bullhorn tasks and I still use them. You can use them as call lists or a planner of your day. So that doesn't change. This menu doesn't go away. You can still see it here. Okay, so you'll see it on your desktop under the task menu. And like I said, you can use it as a call list. A reminder, if you choose to continue to use Bullhorn Task and use reminders, that reminder will send an email to your Gmail, and you will see a link to the task reminder. Okay, but you can also use Gmail tasks. Any questions about tasks?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think the thing is that you have to decide either you're going to use Bullhorn tasks or Gmail tasks. You can use whichever you'd like, but just for your own sake, be consistent about it.
Yes, yeah, that's a good recommendation. Now let's talk about this new menu item that I have talked about, which is Bullhorn Activity Tracking and Activity Center. Okay, so when we enable this integration, you will see this new menu called Activity Center, and you can access this menu from your desktop. So you just navigate to your desktop and then click on the Activity Center. What is the Activity Center? This is basically your email activity tracking. So any email that you receive in your Gmail, and if you want to perform an action on that email, and a typical example would be parsing a candidate's resume, you'll have to do it from Bullhorn. You can't parse a resume from Gmail. So you'll go to your Activity Center in Bullhorn, navigate to your candidate record, and you'll parse that resume directly from the Activity Center. And I'll show you, because I have a live system set up, I'll show you in a few minutes how you do it. And another example of performing an action from the Activity Center is when you want to add a note or from that email, or when you want to attach a file from the email to a candidate or a contact record. So important reminder is that all emails from candidates, clients, or unknown people will show in your Activity Center. So everything, even from an unknown sender that doesn't have a matching email address, will show here. And we can see that the color coding feature is still here. Okay, so everything that you receive from a contact record or a candidate record will be, candidates will be color coded in green and contacts in orange. So you have that feature still. And you will basically just navigate to that contact record or candidate, click on this blue arrow here to expand it, and you will see all the activity, inbound and outbound email. Okay? In regards to outbound email, only messages sent to a matching email address on the record in Bullhorn will show in the Activity Center. And just keep in mind that for outbound messages, outbound tracking is not instantaneous. There can be a lag for the outbound to track in the Activity Center, sometimes up to 20 minutes. So that's because we don't poll those messages instantaneously. We poll them at an interval. So just keep in mind, that it may make time. If you don't see it right away within a few minutes, I would just give it 20 minutes and then check it again. And obviously, if you still don't see it, then you can contact Bullhorn support. But always make sure that that email, outbound email, had a matching email address on that candidate record in Bullhorn.
Right, and I think sort of the very consistent theme here is make sure anytime you get an email from an unfamiliar person, you add them into Bullhorn immediately. So if someone just out of the blue sent their resume over to you, create a candidate record, go to the Activity Center, parse that person's resume, and then all of your communication will be logged. But best practice is definitely make sure you get that contact in there as soon as possible.
Yes, yep, very well said, Sarah. Thank you. Okay, so key activities that you will perform from the Activity Center. If we've talked about parsing new candidates, you can also parse existing resumes. You can view a candidate or contact record directly from here. You can add notes or tasks. You can add file attachments, and you can search for messages in the Activity Center. You can filter these messages. And you can view message history. Okay, and we'll talk about what you can do in the Activity Center in terms of searching and filtering just in the next slide.
Okay.
All right, so how do I get to the Activity Center? You'll have that menu enabled from the desktop. So just click on desktop and navigate to the Activity Center. The best practice is to add the Activity Center as your startup screen. So you can do it in your Bullhorn preferences. So it comes up automatically each time you log into Bullhorn, and that way you won't have to go to Desktop Activity Center. Okay, your Activity Center will have copies of emails and notes. It will contain all unknown emails, so everything that does not have a matching email address in Bullhorn will also show in the Activity Center. And very important, the Activity Center does not include internal email. That's by design because we wanted to filter this out. Typically, you don't want to perform an action on internal email unless your colleague maybe sends you an email with a candidate's resume, and you want to parse that candidate into Bullhorn. To do that, you would have to copy that email, send a copy of that email to the email tracking address. And you should have it already, but I'll be happy to send it to you, Sarah, after the call, to make sure that the team, yep, I'll do that. So you will have to ensure that you send an email to that tracking address in order for it to show in the Activity Center if you want to parse that resume attachment that you receive from your colleague. Any questions?
Right. Well, I'd probably suggest that best practice would be for whomever gets that first email, that first touch from that candidate, just go ahead and put them into Bullhorn. Just do it right away, and then send that profile over to your colleague.
Right. Yes, exactly. That's the easiest way to do it. That way you don't even have to forward that email to the Activity Center. You can just send a note to your colleague. Okay, Activity Center navigation. This is what it's going to look like. So you can search for an email in the Activity Center. You can search by name, candidate's name, or contact name, email address. By default, it's going to show messages for the last 14 days of activity, but you can always filter for more messages. You have an option to filter for more. And you can also filter for contacts. So here, shown the Activity Center, you have a drop-down that will allow you to filter for contacts, candidates, or unknown messages. You have a feature called Ignore List, where you can train the Activity Center to ignore messages. So if you're getting messages, spam mail from LinkedIn or industry emails, and you do not want to receive them in the Activity Center because they're just clutter, you can train the Activity Center to ignore it. You can ignore the whole email address or a domain. And this button here at the top, this is the refresh button. So if you don't see the email that you see in Gmail right away, you may want to click on the new button, which is just a refresh button. And every time a new email arrives, you will see a number of a new message here at the top.
Okay.
Okay. So what do I use the Activity Center for? We've talked about it a little bit already. Parsing new and existing candidates, parsing jobs and contacts, adding a sent email as a note from the Activity Center. That's important to remember also. So email that you will send from Gmail will not be tracked as a note in Bullhorn anymore. If you want to add that email as a note, you will have to go to the Activity Center, and you can simply just click on this menu here, Add as a Note, and it will automatically launch the Add Note screen. Okay. You can view the thread of your messages by date of recent emails and notes for a contact. So here's our contact, Ron. Okay, he's color-coded in orange, so I know it's a contact record. If you click on this blue arrow here, it's going to expand the recent activity. So you will see all inbound email, outbound email, notes added. Okay, so note will be marked as a comment. This is I know that this is an outbound email because it has this icon here. So all the activity associated with Ron's record, email activity or a note activity is tracked on Ron's record in Bullhorn. So inbound message, note, outbound message. Just remember that the Activity Center is not your inbox. You don't want to, you can send email from the Activity Center. This is simply a tool to track the activity, and that's the place where you want to go when you want to perform an action on an email that you receive in Gmail.
Okay.
I want to show you now a menu in the Activity Center called Message Requiring Action. So I told you about sending an email. If you want to forward an email, for instance, an internal email, not that you will be doing it very often, but if you decided to do that, first of all, you have to send it to that email tracker for it to show in the Activity Center. And it's going to show under Messages Requiring Action. Okay, so you have this filter here, Show Activity, and you will select a menu, Message Requiring Action. and this will show your email that you forwarded to your tracker. So you can push the messages into the activity center by forwarding that message to the tracker address. And an example of such scenario would be when you receive a resume from an internal person that you want to parse in.
Okay.
Any questions? Okay.
No, I don't think so. I mean, the really important thing is just remember Gmail is where you conduct almost all of your mail activity, and Activity Center is just for those few things like parsing a candidate or adding a note from an email to a candidate record.
Yes. Yeah. So let's summarize what is changing, what is not changing. So there are no changes to the recruiting process. What is going to be different? Gmail is the main email client for sending and receiving messages. All messages sent to and received from contacts and candidates are automatically posted to their message area in Bullhorn. Important to remember that the email address has to be matching the email address on their Bullhorn record. Your Bullhorn inbox will be replaced with the new Activity Center. You will no longer have access to Bullhorn Calendar. Your Google Calendar is going to be your main calendar. Bullhorn appointments will sync over to your Google Calendar. And that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Right. So a few people did have questions about their old emails. So all of those, number one, any email sent to a client contact or to a candidate would show up in the activity under that contact record.
Yes.
Number two, those emails would all be in the Activity Center. And number three, their folder system, if someone is using folders in their current inbox, would that also show up in the Activity Center, or can you show us where that would be?
Yes. So I'm going to show you. You'll have this new menu enabled under Tools. Everybody will have access to it. And the menu is called Activity Center Cleanup. So this is where you will go when you want to view your old Bullhorn messages. Okay, so click on Tools, Activity Center Cleanup, and you'll see that it's going to open your Bullhorn inbox. When it wants to open it, here we go. Okay, so this is your old Bullhorn inbox. This user does not have a folder structure. It's just an inbox, but everything your old Bullhorn folders will show here, so that doesn't change. And if you need to find, an old email, you can go here. If you want me to, I can also enable a similar feature for old Bullhorn appointments, which will allow you to access your Bullhorn calendar. Is it something that you would like me to add just for a short time, maybe, so you can still access your Bullhorn appointments? Yes, I think that would be helpful, please. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. So that menu will be called Calendar Cleanup. It will show somewhere here as well. Okay, and when you click on it, it will allow you will be able to access your old Bullhorn calendar.
Right.
So this is a light system.
Yeah, I just think the really key takeaways here are you're not losing your old emails, you're not losing your old folders, you're not losing any appointments that you've already set. Basically everything that you had previously done in Bullhorn Mail is just going to transition over to Gmail. Everything in Bullhorn Calendar is just going to transition over to Google Calendar, but there's very, very few changes that you need to make to your actual behavior. 99% of the recruiting process absolutely does not change, except that when you click on a candidate email address, it's going to pop up and it'll be that Gmail interface instead of that Bullhorn interface.
Correct. Yes, and I wanted to show you now in a live training environment how you would navigate to a candidate or a contact record if you wanted to perform an action. So from your desktop, you simply click on the Activity Center. You can see that this is an email received from a candidate because it's color-coded in green. And let's say you want to parse the resume to Bullhorn. You simply click on this link here for the file attachment, and you can either parse as a new candidate, parse as an existing candidate. Okay, so it looks very similar to what you do in your Bullhorn inbox right now. If you mouse over here to the right of the candidate's record, it will show you more links. Okay, so you can view, if that record, you can view the resume, you can add this email as a note. Okay, you can do it from here. You have also more options, so you can ignore this message. This is what I was. This is what I meant by ignoring the domain or an email address that you receive that you no longer want to receive in your Activity Center. and you can perform all these other activities. You can add a file, task, appointment, add a submission directly from here, client submission, add this to a tear sheet, or add a quick placement. So this functionality stays the same. This is the search tool that I was telling you about. So if you want to, for instance, search for Matt's record, you just type his name here. And here he is. I don't know why it pulled out all this other email. Show messages. So by default, you have the last 15 records, but you can show up to 100.
Okay.
Or you can even show more. So if you click on this link here at the bottom, it will show more messages. And if you search for a message, anything that you have in the Activity Center will show up.
Right.
You
Okay.
just need to make sure that you show more. Show activity. So you can show activity. You can filter your Activity Center by unknown messages, by contacts, candidates, or messages requiring action. This is the ignore list that we talked about, so you can ignore the domain or email address if you don't want to receive it in Bullhorn anymore, and this is the refresh button. So
Right.
this checks for new emails that you get in the Activity Center.
Okay, so when after this changeover happens, basically, what do people need to do the first time that they sit down at their desk? So they'll open up Internet Explorer and they'll log into Bullhorn, and then they'll also pull up Chrome and they'll go to mail.gmail.com and log in using their business email address. So mine would be swachter@bowdoingroup.com instead of just my personal account, which is sarah.wachter.
Correct. Yes.
Is that
so
correct?
You have to, yes. Yeah. You'll have a new login to Google Apps, and you'll use that email login to your Gmail. Yes, you summarize it perfectly, Sarah. So basically, yes, you just on the first day, I would make sure that you add the Activity Center to your items that automatically launch. I would also install the Gmail notifier. And Sarah, I'll send you the link to download it from the internet. And when you click on that email message in Bullhorn, so for instance, if I go to, let's say, I don't have that. So if I click on Matt's record in Bullhorn, and if I want to email him, this should launch your Gmail Compose a message screen after you have that Gmail notifier enabled.
Yep, and as you see, it just changed out of Internet Explorer. It pulled it right into Gmail.
Yes.
Oh, looks like you're not logged in.
I am not logged. Right, I'm not logged into my account, but if I was, it would just log in the Compose a message screen.
Right.
But again, it's important that you install the Gmail notifier message.
Right. So everyone. We'll send out that link, and if anyone has any difficulty with that, please contact me, and I'll be happy to help you.
Perfect. All right. Any other questions?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, great. So, Sarah, thank you for your time. I'm going to stop the recording now, and I'll follow up with you via email regarding that link.
With the link, perfect. Yes, thank you. And as I'm sure you could tell, I was really trying to hit the key points that